Okay, people are joining.
Listen. Welcome. Welcome. Grace and peace. I saw some people. I don't know. Where'd they go?
A lot of people have their cameras off.
Oh, that's okay. Well, good evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you're calling from in the world. Welcome. Welcome on in. I see people still coming in. I see smiling faces. That's good. That's good. I wonder if at all possible, if we could turn our cameras on so we can see people and just wave hi to each other. Possibly, baby. I see faces. There it is. There it is. I see faces.
They're coming.
There it is. Okay, that's perfect. Hi. I see waving faces. Listen, we want to welcome you all this evening to Family Online Orientation. Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, we see faces. I'm curious if we could put in the chat where we are calling from. I just want to see where everyone is calling from. Let's see what's happening. Okay, Rochester. Okay, New York. Okay, I see you. Where else? Let's see. Okay. Oh, we're all over. You see that, JB? Canada. Okay. Texas, Nigeria, Ghana. Okay. Wow. Listen, we are here. Oh, wow. Look at this. Are you seeing this, Rose? Wow.
I am. It's awesome.
Yes. Welcome on in. Listen, we are glad to see your faces. We're glad to hear and see you. Perfect. I think should we try and get started?
I'm ready if you guys are ready.
I'm perfect.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is John Britton, and I have the privilege of working at Calvin University. We are so glad that you took time of your schedule today to join us. We have been planning this for several weeks and excited that we get to meet all of you, at least online. We have an opportunity today for you to learn a little bit more about what your son or daughter's experience is going to be like. So we're going to do 3 or 4 different sessions. We're going to first start talking about Calvin and a little bit more about its history and what it's like now. We're going to have an opportunity to learn more about Calvin's residence life and commuter life. We're going to talk a little bit more about the transition that your son or daughter is going to face. And through this whole session, we'd love it if you would post in the chat any questions that you have as we're going. So we will have some time for questions at the very end, but please feel free to ask your questions all the way through the session. We'd love to learn more about things you have, and we'll do our best to give you our best information that we have. So I'm going to have the team introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with the staff. So if John wants to introduce him first, then we'll have Stephanie introduce herself, and then I'll have the 2 interns do that also.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here. My name is John Whitty, and I serve as the Dean of Students at Calvin.
Yes, welcome. So glad you're here. Stephanie Cooper, and I'm the Associate Director of Family and Student Engagement.
Hi, everyone.
How about Chris, you want to go next? Chris Rose and then Emu?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, JB. My name is Chris Kingdom Greer II. I am going into my junior year. I am a political science major, and this year I am the impact intern. Rose?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Rose, and I'm going to be a junior this upcoming fall, and I'm a computer science with communication focus major and a data science minor, and I am the communications and programming intern here at Calvin for orientation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emu. I am entering my senior year. I'm a film major, and I'm the orientation tech intern.
Awesome. And my name is John Britton, and I get the privilege of not only working with these 3 students, but some just amazing students. And maybe your son or daughters will come and work for me at some point in their career here. But I've had the privilege of seeing tens of thousands of new students start at Calvin University. And I've been like watching a little bit to be like, what is it that makes certain students more successful than others? Like what behaviors, what characteristics, what mindsets allow students to be successful as they arrive. And I've wondered if you thought to think about that for your own child. Like, what's it going to take for your child to be successful when they start Calvin in this fall? And I would love for you to actually, maybe you could list a behavior in the chat right now. If you thought about a certain behavior that you would think was essential for your student's success here at Calvin University this fall, what would be the behavior? What would be the attitude? What might be the mindset? So if you don't mind posting that, if you think about your students' success, what is it going to take for them to be successful while they're here? We'll give you a second to answer that question. Hopefully you've been thinking about that a little bit. Maybe you've been having conversations with your son or daughter about that. Right now, no one's, or am I not looking at it right? Oh, okay, I see now. Okay, good. Sleep, time management, discipline, I love that. Christ focused and hard work. Organization, yes, that is a huge one. I love willingness to ask for help. That's wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. I would like to just take 5 minutes and share with all of you 4 behaviors that I've seen that really allow students to be successful. And I want to start though is how might you define success? Because that can look different for everyone. And I want to suggest here at Calvin University, there's lots of ways to be successful, but tonight I want to talk about 2 ways that I would hope your son or daughter can be successful and define it in that way. And I would think success involves your son or daughter graduating, hopefully in 4 years, and has a degree that's kind of at the heart of their occupation and their vocation. Like at that intersection, they sense God's calling and they actually have a job, an opportunity to work in an area where God's deepest desire for them and the world's biggest needs intersect. And I think that would be one way that I'd want to define success for them when they finish. And the second one would be is that they are different people, like that they've grown, they've evolved, they've had character development over the past 4 years, where it's not just head knowledge, right? It's heart knowledge, it's spiritual growth, it's development in that way. So if we think about those 2 distinct ways of being successful, here are the 4 quick ways that I think they can be successful here at Calvin. Number 1 is they need to find 2 to 3 small towns as they come to campus. That's going to be so essential. If you talk to our 3 student leaders today, each one of them found 2 to 3 places where they're known and they know other people. So Chris might talk about the gospel choir experience he had and how he's really invested into that community. Rose might talk about the Intra Scholars and her involvement in that and how she was able to get planted here to feel like she had support and encouragement by making sure she had a small town. And so even today, I'd encourage you to think about ways in which your son or daughter can find that small town while they're here to feel connected. So the second one that I want to talk about today is fostering relationships with faculty and staff and how important that is. And I want to suggest, particularly at Calvin University, some of your sons or daughters might have got offers to go to big state schools, whether that's in your own country or here in Michigan or wherever you might be from. And the interesting thing about that experience, and this is not a slam on those schools, but they might not actually even meet a faculty member to their junior year. Right here at Calvin, right from the jump, their first semester, they're going to have tenured faculty that will be in their classes, that will be their advisors, that have the opportunity even maybe next summer to do research with them. And I think it's really important at a place like Calvin to take advantage of the proximity principle, right? They're going to have so many opportunities to engage with faculty and staff in very close ways for them to be able to grow and develop as people. Now, be with someone a little bit wiser, a little bit more, with a little bit more experience. And if they can do that, it will really bless their experience while they're here. I get the privilege of working with these 3 plus 5 other students. And I hope that they're learning things and I'm learning things, and having that type of opportunity where you can do work, you can do research with faculty and staff is awesome. The third one is to be fully present. It's really important, students, right from the get-go, to be really engaged and really plugged in. And so I asked some students to take an oath, like, I promise not to go home for the first 6 weeks. And I think that's a really important to think about, because there's so much formation happening on campus. And how can we make sure students go to events, get involved in their residence hall, get engaged in their major, being present on campus? There's a direct correlation between the amount of time and investment you put in as a student and your kind of opportunity for success. And so I think those three are really important for students. The last one I want to share about, it relates to you actually, and it has to do with your ability to now navigate, and I would say communicate well with your son or daughter. Things begin to change. You're probably in a different city than your son or daughter will be, and yet your role is very critical for them to be successful. Whether that's just a supportive text that you might send a couple times a week, whether that's a phone call that you might do on a Sunday afternoon and just learning more about their experience or their story, whether that's like care packages that you might send them a couple times a semester, your investment, your encouragement, your like ability to communicate with them well, even though you might be, countries away or just maybe across the city, is going to be critical for their success. And so even though your role as a parent is changing, it is such an important role for you to continue to lean into as a parent. So that's our hope and our prayer, not only for you, but for your students, that they can be successful here, they can find small towns, they can get to know faculty and staff really well, they can be fully present and have a really good communicative engagement with you, all of you. So I'm going to open us up a word of prayer, and then I'm going to pass it off to Chris, and he's going to kind of lead us in our next session. So let's bow our heads and pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you so much for this opportunity today. We thank you for each family represented on this call and for the journey that their student and their child has been on over the past 18 years. Lord, we just ask that as this student begins to think about their transition to Calvin, Lord, that you might calm any nerves that they might have, Lord, that you might really walk beside them in this important transition, Lord. And for the families, may your Holy Spirit guide them to give them the words to say, give them wisdom on how to handle this transition in their family, Lord. And we just ask that you be here and present even on this call today, even though we're all hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles apart, Lord. May your Spirit connect us like you only can. And it's in your holy name we pray, Lord. And everyone said, amen. All right, Christopher, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much, JB. That was really good. Before we dive deep into all things Calvin, I'm curious. I want to know, I'm curious if we could put in the chat, what is one adjective or describing word that you feel, your emotions about your students coming to Calvin? I'm curious if we could put that in the chat, how we're feeling about our students coming to Calvin. Let's see what we're thinking. Okay, excited. That's good. That's good. Okay, we got a lot of excited. Oh, look at that. We got a lot of hopeful. Okay. Wow, excited a little. Yes, that's good. Thankful, hopeful. Well, that's good. Thank you all. That's good. I know that the chat is still going. I just wanted to say thank you for sharing how you're feeling. And like I said, I'm curious, and we're curious to know what your feelings are as parents. And another question, I'm curious, is this your first child that you are sending off to Calvin? Put that in the chat if this is your first child. If not, put in which child. Okay, I see it. I see some yeses. I see some, this is your first. I see some thirds. Okay, listen, that's it. Yes. Okay, second child last, first to Calvin. That's good. I'm noticing we got a lot of first children, second, third. Okay, wow. Thank you. That's good. Thank you for sharing. Listen, And one last question. I have one last question. I wanna get to know how you're feeling. So put in the chat if you have a specific question for us as we engage this orientation, just as we begin. Any questions? If no, just put a no, put a thumbs down, or a not yet. We're just curious what your sentiment is as we begin this orientation process. Okay.
Or
Not yet.
even Chris, even a question like what they want covered, like what information would
Oh,
they want
yeah.
to know? Yeah,
That's
that'd be
good.
helpful.
That'd be helpful. That's good. Welcoming at the airport. That's good. Okay. Is there anything for families when dropping off our? That's okay. That's good. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, we just wanted to take a little bit, engage where your mindset is at. Like I said, as we begin this family online orientation, I want to pass it off back to JB to engage us in one of my favorite segments of Calvin 101.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate that. And I want to encourage you to continue to put any questions or comments you might have in the post. We'll have people answering those questions as we go throughout this evening. It's my privilege to talk a little bit about Calvin and better understand, hopefully give you a better understanding of who we are as an institution. I want to start looking back. And so Calvin is celebrating its, drum roll please, 150th birthday. We are very excited about that. If you did not know, Calvin is named after John Calvin, who was a famous reformer back in the 1500s. And even though he didn't actually start the university, but it's named in his honor. But we are really excited about the next, really almost 18 months as we really celebrate this significant accomplishment as an institution. And so we're excited about celebrating that. But 150 years ago, this is what it looked like. So this is where we started. Imagine that. So these are 7 seminarians and 1 faculty member. And I haven't been told which one's the faculty member, so everyone can kind of guess. But this is where we started. And so the Christian Reformed Church needed more pastors. And they said, in order to have more pastors, we need to start a seminary. And so Calvin started its roots as a seminary. But over the years, it began to grow and diversify. So we became a junior college, for example. We started admitting women to Calvin, and we offered education degrees. We actually offered our first degree in 1921. So we've been offering BAs and BSs for about 124 years. Oh, sorry, 104 years. I know my math is hard some days. So we've continued to diversify and grow from our original beginnings. We've had probably 4 different campuses over the years. So we are on our 4th campus. And it was called Knollcrest Farms back in the day. You can maybe see the outline of an old building kind of right in the center, and then a pond behind it. That's the only existing structures that are still on the campus. We've continued to grow and develop this campus. Even recently, we've had a lot of changes to campus, a lot of great renovations, including a conference center that you can use while you stay. More recently, we've had a School of Health and School of Business open. That's been really exciting. As we look forward a little bit, last year, we opened up a new soccer stadium, which is absolutely beautiful. And as of today, I looked down and there was actually a football field also with turf being laid. So that one's almost done to welcome our second year of our football team. So we're really excited to see some of the physical changes that are continuing to happen on our campus, particularly in the outdoor athletic space, but also the Commons Union. This past year in September, we opened up 3 new floors that were renovated as part of our library. Which is now a more soft study space. And that's been a really great space for students to use to study and engage. We are also currently raising funds for phase 2 of the Commons Union. And that's an image that you're seeing there. That represents a new option for dining, where we would have one large dining hall that would serve both on-campus students and off-campus students. We're really excited about that opportunity. If you have $23 million, just slip it over via Venmo and we can name it after you, I guess. So we're still looking for some support in that. And the last thing looking forward, I want to say, is the global campus. I think this is a really exciting opportunity. Calvin is still committed to a traditional undergraduate experience, but there's also opportunities, and I think we now have 14 graduate programs. We continue to grow and involve that. So if your son or daughters finish their bachelor's degree, they could continue right at Calvin into a master's degree. We also have a campus on Hanlon campus, which is a prison about 30 minutes away, that students are earning degrees and certificates from that program. And there's lots of great diverse ways that we're educating beyond just our traditional undergrad, and the global campus is doing a great job with that. This is Calvin's mission statement that I want to talk a little bit about. Hopefully you've seen this. Calvin University equips students to think deeply, to act justly, to live wholeheartedly as Christ's agents of renewal. This isn't just a mission statement that we stick on the wall. This is a mission statement that we try to live by and embody in our hearts. I want to focus on that last phrase because I think for me, that's where a lot of what we do really takes root. Christ's agents of renewal in the world. And there's a famous quote from Abraham Kuyper, who is another famous Reformed theologian. And he says, every square inch belongs to God. And that's what we're going to challenge your student to do. We're actually going to charge our student, if they're engineering, to kind of dive deeply into engineering, or if they're a psychology major, to dive deeply into that, or education major, and to really turn over every rock. And what we're looking for is, how can we restore freshness to a broken world through God's calling on our life? So eventually God's going to renew all things, a new heaven and a new earth. But while we're here and in this time, God's asking us to renew our circle of influence in the world. And whether that's through our occupations or through our neighborhood or through our church, we're going to challenge your student to really think about how Christ might be calling them to be an agent of renewal in the world. And we're excited to see how God's going to use them, not only while they're on this campus, but after they graduate in the different sphere that God's calling them to be. I'm going to have Rose come up, and she's going to share a little bit more about the experience that students have while they're here at Calvin.
All right, awesome. Thank you, JB. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at some numbers so you guys can get an idea of how many students we have, the different percentages of male, female. So up first, we have 3,300 total students at Calvin University across all of the years. And this incoming fall, we have a class of about 800 students, which I think personally is a great number and size for Calvin. And here the female to male ratio is pretty even, which is awesome. That is not really common with a lot of colleges, but with Calvin, it's definitely even. And so we have 20% first generation students, 17 US ethnic minorities, and 14% international students. So that's pretty awesome as well. And 27% are children of alumni, and 24% come from the Christian Reformed denomination, which is the denomination that Calvin is. All right, so here I'm going to share a little bit about what I've been involved in at Calvin. So I've been at Calvin for 2 years now. I mentioned before I'm going to be a junior, and I can confidently say that it has been a fruitful experience, and I've experienced a lot of growth, and it's been a lot of fun. So first, I was involved in the Entrada Scholars Program, and I did this incoming as a freshman, and it helped me prepare for college and build relationships. And I also do some intramurals, and that is something that students love to get involved in, to take a break from their academics, get to know some more people. Here I am rock wall climbing. This was also one of my favorite things to do coming in as a freshman. And this here is Girls Who Code, which is one of the student organizations at Calvin. And there are many, many more clubs and organizations that students can get involved in. All right, 99% of Calvin graduates are employed or in grad school, which is just awesome. That is amazing statistic right there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Stephanie.
All right, thanks so much, Rose. Appreciate that. Well, the thing that I love about my job is that I get to build relationships with families and parents. So I love that. But my real job, the one that makes me cry and laugh and pray more than anything else, is being the mom to these 5 adorable kiddos. Love that. So this picture feels like it was taken about 2 years ago, but actually it was 15 years ago. So here's my family now. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, where you feel like, what happened to my babies? This is, time goes so quickly. So my oldest graduated from Calvin in 2024. I have twins who will be seniors this year, a son who will be a sophomore, and then my youngest daughter is still in high school. Most of my time as a Calvin mom was in Nashville, so I get what it's like to be from a distance, not international, but still that feeling of dropping my son off at the beginning of the school year and not seeing him till Christmas. So can relate to that. Like I said, this is your student's journey, but wanted to encourage you that we are here for you. And so there are really 5 ways that we do that in particular. And so that's connection. We want to make sure you feel connected to what's going on at Calvin, even if you're far away. Communication, collaboration, celebration, and care. So I'm going to just really quickly go through those today with you. One of the most important things is communication. We want you to know what's happening on campus. If your students, anything like my kids, I don't have a lot of communication, so I don't know what's going on. So we try to kind of be that bridge for you. In fact, you should be, as new parents, receiving, if you don't have a current student already, the first newsletter. I'm sending it out, should come today or tomorrow in your inbox. If you do not receive it, please make sure you email me, stephanie.cooper@calvin.edu, and we'll make sure that we do have your correct email address. But this is going to give you links, resources. You can skim it. Or if you're one of those parents who want all the nitty-gritty details, click on those links and you can get more information. Another great way, we have some great questions coming in from the chat box. You'd be amazed at how much information there is on the website. The search feature is pretty robust. So just, everything from all the welcome week schedules on there. For instance, you can click on the link Life at Calvin, and it shows everything from, if you go to the housing, dorm measurements, things like that. If you see info for, you can go down to parents and families there, and you can see frequently asked questions that parents ask. There's a spot for you to send me a direct question. So just have some fun exploring the website, and you'll be surprised at how much there is on the website and how a lot of your questions will be answered that way. So this is a way, if you are on social media at all, there are a plethora of Instagram accounts, almost every student org on campus. You can have fun exploring that. But for parents, we kind of do the old school way of Facebook. So you don't have to join, but this is a great way to just ask fellow parents. We really are a fun community and love it how we hear from people all over the country and all over the world. So we do have a Calvin University family page, and this is open to anyone. So invite the grandparents, invite the aunts and uncles, anybody can check out this public page. But we also have a private parents group, and we welcome you to join. If so, please add your student's name. And so then it's easier for us to look you up because we do check. We want to make sure it's legitimately just parents of undergrad students. And that's a great place for you to ask questions that you want answered by the group. So where can I find a good dermatologist in the area? Did your student go on this semester to Spain? What kinds of, was it a good experience? What kinds of things did he or she need to pack? Those questions that you just want to put out to the group. Great thing for Facebook. However, if you want an official Kelvin answer, kind of like what John is doing for you now, please email us at parents@kelvin.edu. Or just email me directly, stephanie.cooper@kelvin.edu, and then I will get to you as soon as you can, hopefully within a couple hours for sure that day, and get you the best answer that we can. You'll get the Kelvin answer. And one thing, just want to add this caveat. It was kind of tricky for me going from high school mom to college mom, is we're always trying to learn to equip our students. So, it's easy to quickly jump in and say, okay, call so-and-so or do this, but try to equip your student to seek those answers, because you'll find, I didn't have a slide in here for collaboration, but we collaborate with all the departments across campus, and they're very eager to help your students in any way possible. So you can see how on the next slide here, connection. We want to connect you with what's happening at Kelvin, even if you live far away. So almost all of the athletic events and visual and performing arts events, we will send you the links for those, anything that's not ticketed. We'd like you to have the opportunity to watch those live when possible. You are invited to participate in CALL, the Kelvin Academy for Lifelong Learning program. Most of those classes are just $10, and it's a great way to get to engage in learning, but not have to take tests or write papers. So you may want to check that out. And then of course, we have things like the January series, if you've heard of that. So a lot of online opportunities, and we'll continue to communicate those with you. Want to let you know about our parent council. So this is a group of parents from across the country who are ambassadors for Kelvin. And once you have a student who's gone through at least 1 year, if this sounds like something you might be interested in, please reach out. Love to consider you to be a part of this group too. We just meet twice a year, but again, serve as ambassadors for the university. JB mentioned sending care packages to your students. Well, if you're anything like me, I have a lot of mom guilt in this department because I do not have time to go shopping and go to the post office and do the whole care package thing. So we try to make it easy for you. Twice a year, we offer care package opportunities, once at exam time and then also in the spring. And so we'll communicate that with you as well. You can order those even if you're in Africa, and we will send those to your student, and you get to include a little personal note. So if you live locally, let me know too if you're willing to assemble those care packages. We had over 600 at Christmas time, so it requires a lot of us to kind of assembly style get those packed up. Another really important thing for us with showing care is prayer. So please reach out if you have something that you would like us to be praying for your family. You'll notice on the website there are different items of prayer for you, one for each day of the week. And in the newsletter, I will also include a prayer point where you can pray through scripture for your student by name. So that's very important to us. And we love to celebrate with our families. And this is from the very first day of school with first day of school pictures all the way to graduation, where we throw a big graduation celebration. So looking forward to celebrating with you. And one of the big ways that we celebrate is our homecoming family weekend. And so even if you can't be on campus with us, we have a virtual 5K opportunity. But if you're one of those families who think, okay, I'm going to at least go to Kelvin one time during the year, this would be the weekend, especially with the 150th year. We have a lot of fun events planned, carnival, football game, again, the 5K race, a lot of fun things, concert. So we hope to see you there. We'll see the Kelvin Hope rivalry game as a fun one. And then mark your calendars. Siblings weekend this year is going to be February 20 and 21. Siblings are welcome anytime, but we do have special programming that weekend. So love to have your younger siblings come and join us. But if you're too far away, that's okay. We provide letters and stickers for students to mail back home wherever you are. So bottom line, the main thing I want you to know is that we are here for you and you are part of the whole Kelvin family. We're in this together. And want you to reach out anytime, parents@kelvin.edu, or again, me personally, stephanie.cooper@kelvin.edu. Each of my students they're all so different, but as JB mentioned, those small towns, they've found their small towns, found their people, and are just really growing in their relationship with others and with the Lord. And that's why I'm passionate about this place. I know all of you are sacrificing a lot emotionally, financially, all of those things. But what you'll find at Kelvin, though, is really not just a transaction, but a transformation. So welcome. Really glad that you're here. And I am going to pass it off back to you, Chris.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I just want to echo the care packages thing. Yeah, as a college student, that is everything. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm curious if it's possible if we could have a little bit of fun. I know it's a lot of information, a lot of good information, but I want to have a little bit of fun if that's all right with you all. I want to play a game. This is called Get to Know Campus. So if you are here in Grand Rapids, you get to play this game from online. And if you are in Nairobi, Kenya, you get to play this game. We can play it together. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put two places on campus on the screen, and you will vote in the chat which one you want to see. Should we look at the library main floor or the Center for Student Engagement? Let's see in the chat which one we can explore. And we're just going to watch a video and see these places on campus. Let's see. Okay, student engagement. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of student engagement. Here on campus, we love to abbreviate, so we call it the CSE. Let's see. I see the CSE. I feel like we should do that one. Let's see. Really quick. Let me unmute myself. Oh, there it is.
No audio here, guys. I don't know. Just so you know, no audio.
Yeah, we totally did that on
Which is our
purpose.
student government.
Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Hey guys, my name is Mar, and today I'm going to give you a tour of the CSE, which is our Center for Student Engagement. This is a super good place to come hang out and study with your friends, and there's a lot of different student orgs that meet here, as well as a couple different student offices, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them right now. We have Student Senate, which is our student government, and we also have Nexus, which is our financial planning office, but two of the offices that I love the most and work for are Chimes and Dialogue. Chimes is our student-run newspaper, and Dialogue is our art journal, and those are both offices that I love and are super good ways to get involved on campus. We take lots of student submissions, and it's just a really fun time. So I hope as you guys come to Calvin and come into CSE, you'll find ways to get involved too.
That's perfect. Listen, I agree. I'll echo. That's where all of my friends get studying and hang out. Yeah, I'm curious if we could put in the chat, should we go look at the field house, which is where the basketball games, volleyball games happen, or the Covenant, we call it the CFAC, the Covenant Fine Arts Center. Let's see. I see field house. The CFAC is where, yup, I see it. That's where we do our gospel choir concerts. That's it. Okay. Oh, wow. I'm seeing a lot of CFAC. I see some field house, but let's see. Let's check out the CFAC.
Hi, my name's Lovejoy, and welcome to the Covenant Fine Center, also known as the CFAC. The CFAC is home to the auditoriums on campus, the music and English department, and also the art gallery on campus. My favorite part about the CFAC is the auditorium. There's different concerts and shows hosted throughout the semester. My favorite are Anguilla and Dance Guild. It's very fun to be a part of this concert, but also to come and watch them throughout the semester. The art gallery also hosts art from students on campus, but also art from professional people in Grand Rapids. I urge you to come to the CFAC this semester.
That's perfect. Listen. I love the CFAC. That's where I hang out the most. So that's cool. Okay, and then the last one. Should we see the chapel? Where we have chapel 5 times a day. Hang out on Commons Lawn, Spoolhof, Atrium. I see Spoolhof. Okay, let's see. Atrium. Okay, let's see. Which one? They're coming in the chapel. Okay. Oh, I see a lot of chapel. Okay, let's see what's happening at the chapel.
Hey guys, I'm Rose, and for Create Your Own Adventure, we are here at the chapel. And so many great things happen here at this chapel. One of them being that 5 days a week, we have a 30-minute service right in between classes. So that's a perfect time to take a break from what you're doing and really tune in to what the Lord is doing. And different things that happen at chapel could range from quiet hymnful songs all the way to loud worship, different speakers coming on it, and even multicultural worship, which is so fun and something you can look forward to. Another thing we have is every other week, we have a worship service called Loft, which is so meaningful and intentional. So if you're looking for faith and community, the chapel is a great place to find that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you for having fun with me. I hope it was fun for you as it was for me. Now I get the chance to pass it off to JB.
Christopher, thanks for sharing different spaces around campus. We're going to transition a little bit to your son or daughter's academic experience. This probably fits in the top 3 transitions that students will face, but we think it's valuable for you to have a better understanding of what their academic journey might look like over the next 4 years. So we're going to cover some major topics around the core curriculum, majors, minors, all sorts of different things. But I wanted to start off actually with a little bit of a fun piece. And we, if you didn't know, students are on social media sometimes, and they fill out evaluations of their faculty unbeknownst to them. And so what we ended up doing was collecting some feedback that students had given the certain faculty, and then giving it to faculty on the spot, and each faculty member is reading this quote for the first time about them. So we've got about 4 or 5 different faculty that are going to be reading some evaluations that students may have given them, for an opportunity to get to know a few of the faculty members here at Calvin University.
I'm Karen Selpe, and I teach in the English department. I would only recommend her if you are willing to learn and try, because if you are not, then she will make your class experience a living hell. That's right.
Sarah Decker is by far the coolest prof. She's super kind, super funny, and also super surprising. Like when she straight up told us she's going on her 5th year learning Israeli street fighting. I about spit out my coffee.
All right, my name is Geert Eterbray, and I teach film and media in the Department of Communication.
Pauses for like 15 seconds between sentences.
So I had enough time to realize how bored I was during his class. Cool accent, though.
Uh-oh. Professor Westra was boring, monotonous, and drab. His papers he assigned were difficult and uninteresting. If avoidable, don't take his class unless you love an unrealistic amount of homework and messy feedback. Oh my. Perhaps these papers were uninteresting to me as well once they were read. I do try my best.
My name is Julie Yonker, and I am in the Department of Psychology and Public Health. Oh, she was okay. All right, well, I guess that's better than bad or anything else like that. I'll go with okay. So thank you for being okay.
All right, let's see. Professor Holcomb is a neat guy. and would probably be good at teaching English, but his teaching method for Communications 180, that is Communication 180, not Communications, by the way, could be better. Couldn't we always? True. Sometimes he rambles on forever, but he seems like a good guy, okay? At the end of the day, it's all about being a good guy, okay? And, well, cut me off if I'm rambling, right?
Oh, wow. I get lost in Professor Manny's piercing blue eyes during class, partly because they're captivating and beautiful like the Tenerife Sea. I don't know if that's how you say it. I don't teach geology. Partly because class is boring. Fair.
Well, awesome. I'm going to you get to know a little bit of our faculty. And like I said earlier, your students will get to know some absolutely amazing faculty here. You see that they all have a sense of humor since they're willing to do that little activity for us. I'm going to have John introduce, talk a little bit more about some of the academic expectations that your students going to face while they're here. So John, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, JB. And again, I'm John Whitty. I'm the Dean of Students. So actually, the part of campus that I work with is not really the academic side as much, but I am a graduate of Calvin, and I had 3 children who are either graduates or very close to being. And so these graduation requirements are real and to me, and I know them fairly well. So the thing that your students will need to know and they'll learn is that a Calvin degree is about 124 semester hours. That's usually 4 years when you take about 15.5 semester hours per semester. So sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. We're a liberal arts university, so there are core requirements. There are classes that all students will take that are outside of their major that broaden them and fill them in new ways and make them, we think, better citizens and better Christians and family members and professionals in their field. In fact, I'll mention a little bit about the core and more in a minute. I'll show you a chart, but I also just put in the chat an excellent website that can tell you a little bit about Calvin's core and why it's important and what makes it up. To graduate, you have to have a GPA of 2.0. We have an excellent support system here through our Student Success Office that helps students who are having struggles academically, whether that's needing tutoring or academic advising, or even help with certain learning disabilities. They are there to help students and to help them get above that 2.0 threshold if that's an issue. Of course, many of our students are thriving and doing well, but we have the support when there's a hard semester or a hard class. That cumulative GPA of 2.0 is maintained in order to graduate. And some programs have higher GPA requirements than that. So your students will learn that as they apply for certain degrees. Here is a chart that it's labeled the new core. So actually it's not as new anymore. It's been around for a little bit, but it is a revised core that was approved probably within the last 5 years. I think I have that right. And you see categories like knowledge and understanding, competencies and skills, foundations, and cross-disciplinary integration. And the number of credits that you need for each of those, and you can see some of the example classes under those categories, will depend on sometimes on your major. Usually the core can be as few as 29 credits of your total, up to 73, depending on the degree that you're pursuing. Here's just a couple examples of what a first semester sample schedule would be. So if your son or daughter was a science-related major, you could expect that they're going to take a Core 100 class, which is really an introduction to Calvin and to higher education and to the kind of learning that we do here as a reformed institution. And then maybe they're taking a biology and a chemistry class. Maybe one of their core classes is Christian theology and a history course, and that's about 16 credits. If you have a humanities-based major, son or daughter, they're going to take that Core 100 class also, but maybe they'll take sociology and a foreign language like French. English 101, most students have an English 101 requirement for writing. And then maybe a statistics class. So you can see that comes out to also 16 credits. So that's an example. Everybody's schedule will be different. And actually, I think I'm going to talk about that right now. This summer, there have been emails to your son or daughter from their summer navigator. and that is a specialist out of our Office of Student Success, whose job it is to really help your students get ready for those classes, to even help them select those classes, at least give us a menu of options that they might be interested in based on maybe a major interest. There are some documents to review about academic resources that have been sent. There is a fall course registration form. I am thinking that most of your students have done that already, but if not, it's not too late. We are actually reminding the last handful of students who haven't done it yet to fill out that form so that their first semester classes can be created, their schedule can be created. That summer navigator is a perfect person to ask questions to for academic things. We can probably answer a few tonight, but the summer navigators are going to be the experts in all things academics. Early on, when your son or daughter is here, one of the first things during the Welcome Week programming is to meet the faculty in their major. If they've chosen a major, they'll have an opportunity to meet that department, meet the faculty, talk to the folks that make that department work. And they'll specifically meet their faculty advisor at that time too. So that's a really good part of our orientation, our fall orientation program called Welcome Week. And that's coming soon. I mentioned that form that we asked all students to fill out. That gives us an idea of the kind of classes that they want to take. Maybe if their major is, or if they have a major chosen already. Then we build the schedules for all first-year students. We've started that process, and it takes a while. We take all the incoming students and build individual class schedules for them for the fall semester. It'll be balanced between courses for their major, core classes, maybe some early morning classes or afternoon classes. After that first semester, it'll be your students' responsibility to pick their own classes and do their own scheduling. But for this very first semester, we do it for them. I actually think that is a fantastic way to support our students and to take some of that pressure and stress off that first semester here. We plan to send that first fall semester schedule to all the students the second week of August. So that'll be sent to your students' Calvin email address. And that's a place where they should start getting in the habit of checking their email regularly. And I mentioned this already, but when they meet with their advisor, they meet their advisor early in the year. And then in October, they'll actually have a longer meeting with their advisor. We take a break from all classes and we do academic advising. All students will meet with their advisors, plan a schedule for the spring. Advisors will sign off on that. And then students build that online with our Workday student portal that all students will receive some training on how to use. And that was a lot of information about academics, which I will admit is not my day-to-day work. My day-to-day work is working with students outside of the classroom. And I work with several departments that support students and program for students and help students and have fun with students outside of class. And one of those is residence life. And I know that since you are on this call, visiting campus was probably not something you could easily do. Some of you know the Calvin campus and you know what the residence halls look like. Perhaps some of you have lived in them. For many of you, this is brand new. So I want to give a brief tour of the residence halls, talk a little bit about what your student can expect living on campus. And I think you'll find this helpful and exciting. And I have a list of things to take. Somebody asked that in the chat earlier, some things to take and maybe some things not to take. We'll deal with that too. So why would your student want to live on campus? Well, the first 2 years, we actually require it for all students unless they're commuting from a parent's home where the parent lives. So most of our students actually live on campus, particularly that first year. But we actually think it's really important. Your student will learn outside of the classroom. They'll learn in these areas. We see it every year. We know that it happens, and we're excited to watch that happen and to help support that. This says dorm options. Well, as you can see, we have abbreviated names for our residence halls. Many of them have longer names that are, they're named after significant people in the history of Calvin, from early presidents or faculty members to missionaries in the Christian Reformed Church. Names like Noorderweer or Vanderwerp or Kalsbeek, Huizinga, Van Dalen, Schulze. But many students just call their dorm by its initials. So KHVR, NVW, BB. And you can see some of these fun mascots and logos that represent some of these halls. Our students don't actually choose the building they live in. We sort of do it randomly. We spread people out. We ensure that no one building has all the athletes or one building has all the international students. We do this so that we all mix and mingle and meet significant people who will be part of our academic and social and spiritual journey here at Calvin. So this is a really good thing. So dorm options, maybe they're not really options. We'll assign them, but they're great places to live. And let's take a tour. Most residence halls have two wings, a wing of men and a wing of women. There's a couple variations on that, different architectural plans, but all of them have suites. So a suite is two residence hall rooms attached by a common bathroom. That bathroom is the responsibility of those students to keep clean. It is not cleaned by staff. Very important detail to keep to remind your student. We'll go to the next slide. Yep. So here's a few shots of the inside of rooms. You see some smiling students. You see a very clean bathroom, some little places for toiletries. Rooms have amenities like one Ethernet port. We have wireless throughout the building. Students can certainly bring laptops and TVs. We don't have cable, but most students wouldn't use it anyway. If they're watching things, they're streaming. I should mention the furniture is stackable. We kind of went through that quickly, but furniture stacks in bunks or in trundles, or it can be both on the floor. There's ways to do that across dressers and desks to save some space on the floor. So that's fun for students to be able to do. Every floor in every residence hall has a kitchen. Call it the coffee kitchen, but students don't typically drink coffee there. They use the microwave or the stove, store things in the refrigerator, and maybe have floor meetings or study together in these spaces. Basements are fun places. They're places where worship happens for small groups, study groups happen, maybe pool or ping pong, maybe getting a snack from a vending machine, or a quiet study room. We have very quiet study rooms that are focused just for silent studying. Laundry rooms here are free. Of course, you pay for that with room and board, but you don't have to have quarters or cards or anything like that. We have deep storage for luggage, boxes, that kind of thing, off-season clothing. We even have a room that you can store bikes in. We're very careful about not leaving things in the hallways for fire code reasons, but we do provide this storage. And that storage, actually, you can leave things over the summer there too. So for students far away, if they are able to go home for the summer, they can leave some of their items right in this storage room. Somebody asked about Christian community. I think that's come up a couple times in the chat. We always want to point out, like, I think there are four things and probably many other things that give shape to Christian community in our residence halls. One is that all our students are studying at a Christian university, so the faculty members are teaching from that perspective. They are Christians themselves. Our students are doing homework and engaging faith questions as well as all the things that make up the courses that they're studying. So it's an academic place where we talk that way. There's also some biblical principles that we put in place that we communicate to students early on about caring for one another, maybe perhaps more than themselves, looking out for other people, giving room for growth, going to one another when there's conflict, this Matthew 15 principle. Policies we have, it's weird to say that policies give shape to Christian community, but some of our policies about living together, about use of alcohol or sexual activity, things like that, follow from a biblical worldview. And we also have policies about noise and cleanliness and things that student at any college would probably have in place. But some of them are unique and they give shape to our Christian community here. But I'm telling you, the thing that gives shape to the Christian community the most is our student leaders and our student participation. So when students participate in a floor Bible study or a great conversation with friends late at night or worship times together, these are the things that really bring Christian community home and make it blossom and grow. And we're excited that it can happen here. One of the things your student is probably wondering about is roommates. We have communicated that out to everybody who's been admitted and deposited. It was sent to their Calvin email. However, when we sent it out, we told the students who their roommates were, and we gave them the roommates' Calvin email and personal email. So if some of our students have started communicating using the non-Calvin email, especially if some students haven't actually seen the Calvin email yet, so that word is getting out. We did a lot of matching by hand, the human touch. Our computer system made some matches, and many students made their own matches using that new system that we have. So that's great. We always say it's really important for students to have realistic expectations about a roommate. Sometimes roommates work out perfectly and they become best friends, and sometimes they just live together well for the year. Many students change roommates after a year, sometimes after a semester too, but usually after the year. When things don't work out, we are there to help. We will support the students. We'll give them tips like how to communicate better or compromise, but sometimes when there's conflict, we can help make us change if that's needed. If there are any questions that you have about housing, please write us at housing@calvin.edu. We're getting lots of questions, so give us a day or two to respond, but that's a great place to get your information answered on housing. What to bring to Calvin. So this is always, I think, important. We provide you with a mattress. It's extra long, which means 4 inches. I think that means it's 84 inches. But bring pillow, blankets, sheets, that kind of thing. Towels, soap, other toiletries, that's on our students, obviously. Detergent, laundry, the laundry is free, but we don't provide detergent. Clothes for all sorts of weather. It does eventually get cold in Michigan. It is not cold today. Room decorations, lots of ways to make your room your students' room feel like it's theirs, their space, but be very careful. They should be very careful about hanging things on the walls. We really can't allow drilling into the walls with nails or screws or adhesive that leaves residue, that kind of thing. So we're careful about that. I would say it's very important that your student have a laptop or some sort of computer. I think that's pretty standard nowadays. What to bring, a few more things, a way to manage their time. One parent said time management was the thing that they felt their students needed to do well to be successful. And we encourage that. We encourage that by encouraging the use of one calendar or planner where you keep your social life and your academic schedule and your work schedule all in one spot. Students can bring a hot pot or a coffee pot for the room, but no other appliances. The rooms are not set up for appliances. That's why we have the kitchen on every floor where they can use some appliances. Some students bring extra lamps. Sometimes when they travel, that's not possible. Maybe they buy one when they get here, just to provide a little bit cozier lighting. Power strips are always good. There are a number of plugs, but it seems like there's never enough for all the electronics that students bring. And then we would really encourage them to bring the Bible and other good books, because the habits that they set while they're students and while they're at college age are going to stick with them for a long time. So we really encourage positive habits. Here's some things that they may bring. And sorry if I'm going really fast here. This stuff was probably sent to your student in a brochure, so hopefully it's not entirely new. We don't provide the cleanings. We do provide some cleaning supplies, actually. But if your student needs something stronger, like something with bleach in it to clean some mildew, you might have to go out and buy that. They might themselves. A small refrigerator is okay. The small kind of cube kind. Bicycles, certainly can have a bicycle. First-year students may have cars. Many don't bring them or don't decide they don't really need them when they share with each other, and so many resources are right here on campus. And of course, they can bring a TV, gaming consoles. They need to make important decisions about time management and when to study and when to use those things, but those are definitely optional things to bring. Here's some things not to bring. Please don't send your student here with any weapons. That seems obvious, but in this age of violence and school shootings and things that we take very seriously, we don't mess around with this. We don't allow pets except fish. And we don't allow alcohol or drugs or empty cans of alcohol, decorative bottles or posters, anything that advertises drugs or alcohol. We ask that you not have that. And, anything that student doesn't really need, don't bring. They can get things later sent to them, or they can buy some things. It's better to simplify and move into that smaller space and make it comfortable as you go. I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Chris now to talk about commuter life.
Perfect. Thank you, John. That was really helpful. Some great information and insight. I just wanted to highlight the commuter life and the commuter experience on Calvin's campus. We talked a lot about residence life and residence halls, and a lot of your students will be staying in them, but we also wanted to highlight, like John said, if a student is living in a house with their parent and they commute to class, there are a multitude of opportunities. We're going to send out emails on how commuter life will work on a later date, but I wanted to highlight the opportunities to have meal plans for if you forgot to meal prep or put something together. And so you can just swipe your card at Commons Dining Hall. Like, there's opportunities to also get parking passes to park as you pull in, as well as adopt a residence hall where you can actually engage in some residence hall, maybe one your friend is in, and you're able to go to their dorm events and their Bible studies and all the cool things and be in the know of what's happening in their residence hall. I just wanted to say one of my close friends commuted all last year and was still able to engage in a multitude of things, from Student Senate to BSU to just hanging out in the dorms and studying, right? So we wanted to highlight that the commuter life is fruitful and is fun and can be engaged. So thank you. I want to pass it off to JB to engage in transitions to higher education.